Bobby Firestone, Eric Sheet Saber. We're going to be talking through tonight's 8-game MLB slate. A little bit things that just to mention what's changed since earlier. If you watched the earlier video, one thing that's this Cubs Cincinnati game is a little bit worrisome. And I think it's interesting because it's going to be very popular. So I think it's an interesting starting point to know what we're doing with that game. Sheets, anything else that maybe a lot different than earlier for you?
Yeah, no flexing, right?
But it's still it's still a good matchup, right?
No, I know, but these are things that have changed. That's all.
Yeah. Sorry.
And also, I don't have a Reds lineup yet either.
Is that official, the flexing thing? Because I saw something conflicting about that.
Oh, maybe I don't know.
I still have him in. So.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe that's why.
But not only is there weather issue, but I don't even know a Cincinnati lineup.
Yeah, Cincinnati, and I think it's a little odd that they haven't released a lineup as well. Like they said they weren't going to play Ellie today. We heard that earlier, but for some reason they haven't changed their. I don't know what's happening with that one. That's a little bit.
Well, that's a pretty big deal. I didn't even if you're going to play Cincinnati players, I mean. He's like half their production, right?
Well, I don't think he's even being projected in most places right now.
No, I know. So I mean, why would anybody play them?
Right. And that's my thinking of the Cubs Cincinnati game in general, is that I actually do have like some game stacks there, but in general, like I don't really want to play the chalk anyway. So if the game doesn't play or gets cut short or something like that. I'd like to be on the side of being underweighted anyway. So initially, the Cubs were going to be my filling for all.
Yeah, I'm now seeing a thing saying Ellie De La Cruz has been marked out. So I guess the lineups are up now.
Well, no, but we got that earlier today. But let me see if the lineup.
Well, I just got a notification 2 seconds ago. But that could be, I don't know.
Huh? Yeah, I still don't see the lineup yet, but. That's a little weird because the weather in that game makes me a little nervous that, I don't know why they wouldn't have released the lineup. So anyway, but here's what we've got, like, just to give you an idea, like I'm just using Sheets' ownership here and, you could see how the chalk is heavily on KC, Chicago. You're going to have some ownership on Arizona. I wouldn't worry too much about ownership outside of Chicago and KC in terms of 5-man stacks. But I did something a little bit different today. I played I did the 150 and the $5, and I definitely was willing to get weird with my stacks because it's so hard to win a tournament that huge that I decided to do a lot more of the 3 3s, the 4 2s, and some actually not even full just stacks. I also put for the 10 most likely home run hitters, I put them all in at like 15% each minimum. I just wanted to get some exposure. Sorry, Sheets. Go ahead.
No, I like that.
Yeah, I just wanted to try and get a little try some things that are a little bit different. So, but again, I ended up with mostly Skeens and Pivetta pitching. What are you doing outside of Skeens and Pivetta?
Well, Seattle for openers. So right now, depending on what I do with this Cincinnati thing, right now I have like 70% Skeens, like 60% Pivetta, and then Gilbert the next. Then a bunch of sprinkles, pretty much. This is DraftKings. As far as hitting goes, my top stack right now is Pittsburgh, about 35% of that, and then the next one right now is 33% of Atlanta, and then 28% Seattle, followed by 20% Kansas City. I'm getting very little Cubs, like 10%. I'm getting like 20% White Sox. This is all in the lottery that I'm talking about here. So Pittsburgh seems to be maybe I'm getting it in part to correlate with Skeens, but it's not like Skeens is that are they even the favorite? I mean, like
yeah, they are in this one.
They are okay. I mean, because it's not Anyway,
and we don't know their lineup. Oh no, wait. Do we get it?
Yeah, we got Pittsburgh.
Sorry.
You got Pittsburgh.
Yeah. We just don't. Yeah, that's right. No McCutcheon. Just that was the only thing I had. Pittsburgh. Joey Bart batting 5th. Yeah. And
Tellez made it in, and also the other one, the Polanco for Seattle, made it in.
Yeah, absolutely. And just I was looking at my exposure just to what's so I'm heavily on basically my highest owned players are all Texas. I really like the Texas idea in this game in St. Louis. Again, I mentioned earlier, it's 90 degrees with the wind blowing out. I think the total, I like the over in this game in general. I think that Palante is getting a little too much respect here, and he's not a good strikeout pitcher against a team that that can occasionally get them. So I'm good with the Texas stuff tonight. That's my favorite. Other than that, I am getting pieces of like the Royals and stuff like that, but usually it's with a lower owned team like Texas. Like you mentioned with Seattle, I have a lot of Seattle, like 15%, I guess, Seattle stacks. Arizona, I have, but again, not necessarily stacks, but mini stacks, and for the most part with Arizona. And then I also have some of the Atlanta as well. So we are together there. I did one team I didn't want to do the 5-mans with was the Royals. I just feel like it's just hard. It's just hard to win, especially a tournament with 1 million people like tonight with the chalk. So I just didn't go the full Royal stacks very much.
On FanDuel, my pitching on FanDuel, I actually have my highest owned is I think I have more Pavetta than Skeens. Yeah, I have 50% Pavetta on FanDuel and 38% Skeens.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Drek, you know what I mean? And whatever.
Right.
But I do have more of Pavetta. I guess just because Skeens is like pretty expensive over there.
Yeah.
And then hitting over there, same group. I mean, Atlanta, Seattle, Pittsburgh, KC. I have a little more Texas over there, but in neither environment, whether DraftKings or FanDuel, do I have too much of the Reds or the Cubs. So I'm just going to keep the small amount of exposure that I have, probably, just in case it plays.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no reason. I guess I could exit out, but I don't have enough. I don't have that much of it anyway. I mean, listen, if it's 7:00 and Roth goes to full orange, red, or whatever, then obviously I'll exit out. But
yeah.
But maybe I should. I mean, well, let's talk about that because this is like one of your pet peeves. Like for a while, when people say either like when there's like a really good play, like the people that say either all in or fold, either all in or X out. That's
right.
like kind of stupid, And what about like that same logic when there's like a high owned stack like that I have very little of, like Reds, Cubs, for example. Is it better for me to keep the 10%, or it's not doing anything for me anyway? Why don't I just use that 10% to play other stacks? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's a good point. It's a good question. I was just going through each of my ownerships for the players, but I think tonight, like, because there's not more game, like if there was 12 games and there was another game that seemed so obvious, and I just give a lot of respect for hitters in that park. So I don't want to cross it off, but I like the idea of being underweight that game. There's not a lot of offenses that look like that. We don't have a bunch of 5-6 run totals like we have some nights tonight, and I don't want to eliminate it entirely was my attitude, but I want to be underweighted. So I guess it's okay to just get rid of it, but it really depends on, I think, how many lineups you're playing also. Like if you're playing 150 in a $5 tournament, I'm okay with having 10% of portions of that game. The only problem is, I think
my logic is the opposite now. I am Xing it because in that tournament you need to be kooky anyway.
Yeah.
So why do I think that the 10% of that I'm going to keep is going to be the ones that, you know what I mean? Like
especially at its ownership. That's fair. It's a good point. Yeah. I think I might reconsider that myself too. I did leave one. I have one in a hand build that I liked a lot, but I'm not sure I'm going to keep it. I'm debating depending on what we hear weather-wise. But yeah, it's a good question. I mean, if the game was completely like unowned, I would probably say you want to get like 60% of it. But it's just going to be popular, so I don't think you're going to have that opportunity. If you get like an early delay warning, then it might be an issue because the storm is supposed to come in later. So like that, if for any reason there's like an early delay, that would probably force people to get off of it, and then maybe you could get the low ownership and jump on if you wanted to. But it's a tough question, and I think it's really different on every slate. And every player is going to think differently about it. But yeah, I'm feeling really good about this Texas thing. And I think if there's a good straight bet to make tonight in baseball, it's betting the over in this case, St. Louis, Texas game. So we'll see if Texas burns me again, but I'm gonna go back to it. How much of the Eovaldi? So you said you had sprinkles of Eovaldi, right?
Yeah, very little though.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really heavy on those main pitchers.
Yeah, I'm at like say I'm looking at my current owner exposure, and I've got 62% Skeens. I've only got 38% Pivetta, but I have 25% Bloss and 20%.
Yeah, I got a bunch. I got a bunch of that too.
Nice, yeah. I have a bunch of and I have Gilbert, Marsh. It's interesting this slate in general because only Pivetta has a good matchup of the quote unquote like good pitchers.
Okay.
Everybody else has a rough matchup. But at the same time, like he's a boomer bust guy that I really like taking the other side on, especially with how cheap they are. So I think it's an interesting. You could play both sides of that. He can be one of my highest owned pitchers, and yet Seattle's still my third or fourth highest owned stack. You know.
That's where I am. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, if that game goes, 4-2 or something, I lose. It's like
right.
Like,
yeah, they lose 4-2. Yeah, exactly. What was the other ones I was looking at? Yeah, there's a lot of there's not as much value on this slate in general. Like just from a like there isn't the weird 2K guy who's leading off or anything like that. We don't have anything that crazy. The highest projected value is Pete Crow Armstrong, who's the 8-hitter. You know what I mean for the Cubs. Then it's Amaya, who's the 9-hitter. So there's really not like any sort of glaring value out there that I noticed, which just is kind of strange. You're just not used to seeing that in baseball.
Let me see who I have here. If there's anybody that just is showing up. Because I didn't notice anything like that myself. Like, yeah, so my top just like point per dot, whatever, not even as are guys like Renfroe at 3,400, Melendez at 3K. Yeah, like you said, Armstrong's only got under 3K, except for there's Benintendi at 2,600.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then we're into these White Sox no power guys like Benintendi, Nicky Lopez 2,500.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a big. And then the Brooks Baldwin at 2,300, more White Sox.
Yep.
This guy, the Pirate guy, Triolo 2,300, I guess.
Yep.
But like you said, nothing's huge standout.
Yeah, nobody who's got real. I mean, I would say Pete Crow Armstrong has the most upside because he'll run and he has power. But he's hitting 8th, so you just got to do with it what you will. One team we didn't mention that I wanted to mention because I do have like 9% of them I'm looking at as stacks is I think Washington's interesting tonight. They're a cheap overall stack. They're not not 2K flat, but everybody's like right around 3K. And Montgomery has at times been really, really bad. So I am definitely on the side of getting some Nats exposure. And outside the top 2 guys, everybody's super cheap. So
I wonder if I'm supposed to be now I'm really starting to overthink this knuckleball tournament. Now I wonder if I'm supposed to be like under the field on schemes too. I don't know.
I mean, I think that overall maybe, but I don't know. It's just what other options are we rolling with? You know what I mean? Like who has that upside? Pivetta.
Nobody. Just hope the schemes gets 12. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Right, which he just never has.
Has never done. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like it's like the Strider thing. From
right.
Just what do we do? It's just there's not that many other guys to choose from. Who have that? I mean, it's just it's such a high floor because of the strikeout upside. Even though this is not the matchup. If there were 12 games and we had a Scherzer on the slate also or something like that, we could talk about Scherzer Pivetta instead of it. But we just don't have that. And even like I'm playing more Alec Marsh. I didn't like it. Like I was like, Alec Marsh is going to be this popular, and it's like,
yeah, right.
And then I'm like, oh my god, I have that much of him too. Like,
but maybe that's the deal. Maybe you're supposed to, if you want leverage, you're supposed to try to leverage off the hipster people and just play the White Sox.
I'm in on the White Sox too. A total 100%. Like I totally like the White Sox on the other side, and also I think that like if you're looking for a low owned pitcher, I think you could take a shot on both Woods Richardson and Mitchell Parker. Again, these aren't great plays, but those are the only guys who I thought of as like really, that were just way off the board that I would consider. I guess you could throw Jordan Montgomery in the mix, but we know what he and Quintana are. At least Woods Richardson has flashed a little bit of upside. Parker is supposed to have, people are high on him for the future. He's just been really bad. Same thing with Bloss, but Bloss is the one that's going to get owned tonight. All right, guys, any questions in there? Please click the like button and all that stuff. We got some great deals out there, guys, for both monthly and yearly subscriptions. Please check it out. It's all of SaberSims content combined with all Sheets projections, all Goldie's projections, my content, Rody's content, all of Brandon Cruz, Chan for LOL, et cetera, et cetera. You guys know what to do. Anyway, I have to get that out once a show now. Anyway, yeah, so I think that, like, it's weird. Pitching wise, I realize that I'm really not getting as far off the board as anything. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just doing sort of. I think we both are sort of on that we'll get different hitting. And look, if you're playing Pittsburgh, you're getting different. You know what I mean? It's going to be low owned enough, I think, to where, like you mentioned, I think that's you said that you had the most of. I mean, that's
like 35% of that.
Yeah, and you've got nobody projected above 7% owned in that game. So I really like that idea, and I think this is the right slate to do it. And I know we're gonna, we go about stacks in a different way, but I am treating this like a somewhat of a smaller slate because there aren't that many great spots, which is why the White Sox look so good and why the Cubs to a lot of people look so good. So I think that it's good to try to get different. I'm doing it with different types of builds, combined with playing a ton of Texas and having like 30% of that, I guess, maybe a little higher actually.
I'll tell you, that's going to end up being a pretty cool stand. I don't think people are going to do that.
I hope it works out. I mean, I think it's a good offense. It doesn't really. It's one where the total just doesn't quite make sense to me. Now, the last time I said this when we did a show on Friday, I think it was Baltimore, that I had the same stand on that didn't work out. But I like the idea of when you can get these elite upside offenses anyway. I'm not going to say totally elite offenses, but they have elite upside. Yeah. So, and I like the Seattle thing that we both talked about. I actually think what's great about the Seattle part is this is with Pivetta, that one of the things Pivetta does also, he gives up stolen bases. Like you don't have to score necessarily 10 runs against him to win. You can get the stolen bases from Robles. He might have 2 hits and 2 stolen bases. That's fine.
Rosarino might be able to steal one too, maybe.
Yeah. Corey Gakaris has got a good question here. 5-man Texas stack good for single entry. I like it. I think Texas is just as good as these other offenses today. So I actually think that's totally fine for a single entry, even though the general rule is not to get as much off the board. I think it's totally fine. Sheets, I'm guessing you're okay with that.
Yeah, but I'm also I also would say that your other disclaimer makes a little bit of sense too. That in the single entry, you don't have to get too off the board.
Yeah. And one other thing about single entry too is even not getting too off the board. I think that you have arguments between. This has been happening since I've started playing DFS. It's a little bit of the stacking in cash games argument. Do you want to? A lot of guys will argue that in single entry or things like that, small field tournaments, yeah, you really can play the best hitters and then do mini stacks and all that stuff. And other guys say no, absolutely not. It makes much more sense just to go for the full stack in single entry. I think it's an interesting discussion because I think that you've talked to great DFS players on different sides of it, and they will have totally opposite point of views. So,
well, listen, I'll tell you this: there's like, listen, all sports are different, but Max, who is one of the SaberSim guys, he did a whole thing. I remember he did this once of what was I going to say? He was preparing for his live final football thing. He made like a live final, and he was what was I going to say? And he was doing a video of how he was building his lineups, whatever. And each time he was doing it, he was getting like these 3-man stacks, a quarterback with 3, quarterback with not 4, but like a full 3. And it was like only a single entry. And he really likes doing that in single entry, like just triple stacking and just, in single entry. So
I get that. It's interesting because I wonder what size single entry it was in football. Like in baseball, where they only
that particular thing was for a live final.
Oh, that was for a live final. So I think for a live final, that actually makes more sense because it's like a winner take all type of deal. So getting the 3-man makes a lot of sense to me in that situation. Actually, I think that's very seems cool. Actually.
Well, I don't mean for a live final seed. I mean the actual live final.
Oh yeah, but sort of the same type of thing. So I'm saying like you're playing it just you're going way all out there just to try and win everything with the one. I guess it's a little different because it's not winner take all, but you should play a live final, in my opinion, like a winner take all. Again, you're not going to win all of them, but I think that's what you should do. But I think it makes some sense, and it's interesting. I'm looking forward to football, man. I'm excited about this year. What is Rody talking about in here? 200 people. He's saying, yeah, for that.
Look at that humble brag that he makes all these live finals. How about that?
Yeah, look at it dropping it in.
He knows what hotel people stay at. He knows everything. That's right.
We had a circle. Me and Grant a while ago. Grant Neefer. We drove cross country live finals, and so it was Newport, then Nashville, and we drove all the way to Toronto for the DraftKings one. And it was great. It was really fun to have like multiple seats and like have me just going around and doing all this stuff. But we decided to drive cross country, which was pretty cool. But I don't do the live finals anymore just because it's I really feel like I feel like what the prize is, it makes it such a bad bet. Like people talk about the lottery being a bad tournament to enter, or like, the Sunday Million would have been an example in the World Series main event. Maybe like I said, maybe not that one. But man, those live finals, because the seats they say are worth whatever, but there's so much baked into things that I don't want. I don't need an open bar multiple nights and this place to stay and these things. It's fun to do a little bit, but I just don't like going back anymore. That's just my take on it.
Right.
But I used to be the opposite of that guy. I was just wanted to do every experience and do everything, but not anymore. Anyway. All right. We still don't have a Cincinnati lineup that I see. Let me just double check
Well, it doesn't matter to me too much, like I said, because I'm going to.
I think it's very weird that they don't have a lineup out. I mean, this game starts in 40 minutes. Like, imagine if it was, 9:30 Eastern time and the Dodgers didn't have a lineup out. It'd be weird.
Maybe they know. Maybe they're going to wait to see if it's going to rain.
The Dodgers had a brutal series over the weekend.
I'm not too worried about them.
They're fine. It's just they really want to. We just want to get back at Houston. So like when you get a chance to play them, and there was nearly a fight. Like every freaking inning, somebody was screaming at somebody else, and then they threw up an in every time somebody hit a home run. It felt like a playoff sort of thing, but it was just, I don't know. I hate that Houston thing. All right, what else? Let's just take a quick look and see if there's any. No, it's pretty wild. Cincinnati's going to be the last team with the lineup out, and their game starts 3 hours before.
It's going to be like NBA. Look at this.
I know, it's like down to the wire. I mean, I think we know who they're playing, but the weird part is that I'm just trying. Maybe I'm trying to read the tea leaves too much, but I think that there's a chance that maybe they don't think this game is playing.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, let's make sure we're playing before we even talk about the our lineup.
Yep. And for what it's worth,
who's pitching for these teams? Oh, they have
They both have good. Well, it's Tyon and then it's Spears.
Spears, right.
But the funny part about Tyon is this has been happening as long as I can remember with Tyon. It's like every time he always looks like the guy everybody wants to stack against, and then you go through his game logs, and it's just he never really gets hit that hard.
No,
it just doesn't happen. He might have last thing at timeout. He pitched 7 innings. He only had 3 strikeouts, but he gave up one run and 4 hits in 7 innings. You know what I mean? That's not the guy I want to be stacking against every time. And he's actually put up good enough numbers to probably be in pitching consideration as a pivot off Pivetta. But I'm not really doing it myself. But I do think it's kind of funny if you just look at if you just game log watch. Sometimes in situations like that, it can pay off. Same with Pitt as a 5-man stack in single entry. What do you think? I would say Pitt. I think Texas has a more. Okay, so I like the Pitt more for the lottery than I do for a single entry personally. Texas, I think, is fine in both. Pitt, I don't think I would play.
Pitt's also cheaper, right? I mean,
they're cheaper. They also are missing, one of their better hitters, or I guess one of the top of their lineup hitters, whatever you want to call it. They also, we all get excited every week to play Tellez because he's so cheap, and he finally started hitting the second half of this year. But for a while he was hitting 150 with 1 home run and 150 at bats at one point. It was horrible. So I'm a little bit, I'm not quite as in on Pittsburgh. But it makes sense, right? Because the Bloss has the blow up side. We don't know what to expect from him. At some point, the kid's going to be really good. We don't know when that's going to be.
Probably when he's high owned.
Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, tonight might be the night because he's going to have some ownership for once.
You think so? Yeah, he probably will, right?
Not like
I think at the end of the day, people are just going to jam Pavetta and Skeens. I mean,
I think some people will do that. And I think most people will do that. I agree, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bloss ends up like right now we've got him as the 7th most highest owned pitcher. I think he could end up as the 3rd highest owned pitcher. It wouldn't shock me in higher buy-ins. All right. What else, people? Reds lineup is out. Okay. India, Friedel, Steer, Candelario, Stevenson, Fraley, Marte, Benson, Espinal. Not a great lineup for them. They have usually a little bit better than this.
And is it is it who's the surprise? I mean,
so I don't think there's a surprise anymore since Ellie was out.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So I don't think there's anything left that's surprising. I'm trying to think. Yeah, that's pretty much what you'd expect, I think, from what they had. Yeah. And then these Olympic ones are hard. I want the starting lineup. It just starts too early for me. If I lived on the East Coast, maybe I could do the Olympic basketball slates, but I can't quite get into it's just like at 3 a.m. my time, you know?
It's gonna be kind of tough to project minutes too, no? I mean,
it's tough to project minutes, but that's the part I can trend. That's a trend I can follow a little bit, you know? And the problem is I need the starting lineups, you know, because some teams are gonna make changes. Like Puerto Rico is not gonna do with the same starting lineup probably they did when they lost to South Sudan. Have you seen the South Sudan?
What's the line in South Sudan, U.S.? Did they play yet or no?
They haven't played. No, they play tomorrow.
Oh God, what's the line there? I'm just curious.
You mean not? It's not, I don't think it's 43.5 this time. If I had to guess, that was crazy.
You know what? I bet you it is. How about that?
No way.
I bet you they're gonna do the same line.
No, not a chance in a million years in hell.
Okay.
It's probably like 24, 23.
I'm gonna look it up.
Do you know? So let me just say something. Have you seen the South Sudan story?
No.
Like it's pretty amazing. Luol Deng, you remember Luol Deng, the player? He was at Duke, and then he was in the Bulls for a million years. He was an all-star. He was a great player. Just a terrific guy. Coach K always said he was like his favorite player to coach. But he's funded their team. They've never made the Olympics, obviously, before. He's personally funded the team and all the players for like the last years, and he's built this whole team together. It's a great story. I actually hope they beat the U.S., to be honest with you.
USA is 29.5.
29.5. Okay, so
Serbia is a very healthy 17 over Puerto Rico.
Germany's good.
No, Serbia.
Oh, Serbia. Yeah, Serbia's good too. But Puerto Rico's that seems a little high for. You're right. That does seem a little bit high.
Seems very, very like I have any idea what I'm talking about, but.
My prediction is that the U.S. team does lose. Now, I made the prediction before they had the friendlies and all that stuff, which seemed like a cooler prediction then. Now it's like, okay, well, they barely beat Germany. They barely beat South Sudan. I think somebody's gonna might beat them. I just have a feeling.
Yeah.
It might be that French team. I'm telling you. The French team just needs some guards. They're like in 4 years, France will be the favorite along with the U.S. and it'll be close. It's tough, man. It's tough to score when you've got Wembanyama and Gobert on the defense and you can play zone.
I guess
it's tough to score inside anyway. You just got to make your threes, I guess. Pingalore is saying fade Skeens, run a 5-man Cubs with 3-man Houston. I think the 5-man Cubs is really popular, and also that game it looks a little less risky, by the way, according to Roth. Shout out to Roth.
Is that right?
He's got it at yellow,
okay.
But it's going to rate yellow though. It could end early. There's multiple outs there. You don't need to. The game could end after 7 or something if you fade it. Yeah, I get the Skeens thing. It's not the right match. All these things, but like I don't know. This guy's probably the best pitcher in baseball. Like. I don't know, and they're willing to let him go too. Like I mean, he had his chance in that last time out.
So I think I am going to rerun this then with the with and not X out the Cubs if I get them.
Yeah,
So
What?
Brian Hayes is he not playing for the Pirates?
I think he's just batting sixth. I thought.
Okay, could be right.
Let me
Yeah, there he is down there.
Yeah.
Palacios, he's in too. What am I missing here in the lineup? Oh, there's Hayes. Palacios is in, Hayes is in. Gonna do this all over again. We'll keep these guys in. We're just gonna rebuild everything again. But it's taking me longer. Boy, if it's gonna be a competition of whether the more effort I put in, the more money I make, I'm gonna really make a lot today, I think. We'll see. It doesn't quite work out that way, but now I'll give you my full, and this is going to be the last run I make before I leave. So this is going to be my full exposures, which I will announce to the crowd, so to speak, so everybody will know who to root for if their lineups are out. And I'm just going to probably just go with it. Let me just see. I wonder how much Cubs I get now. I wonder if the upgraded weather report helps anything. Yeah. I don't think the projections have changed really though.
I don't think so. Probably not this time. Yeah, that'd be my guess. Though I'd be guessing. Yeah, I'm just going through. Here's my ownerships, guys. You can see that I'm most heavily on Texas. You see some White Sox in there, some Seattles. Yeah, there's. I have Trilolo. I guess I got a bunch of Trilolo. Triolo, whatever his name is. Yeah, I'm high on I actually have more White Sox than I thought in the lottery. Yeah. White Sox, Washington, all the bad teams in Texas.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, hold on. I just ran it. I will announce it as I'm entering it. Just want to make sure that I have the right stacks first. I mean, the right stack exposures. Unlike you, I am going to make sure I get all 5 mans. Let's just see. 3-3-2s get rid of. 4-2-2s get rid of. 3-3-2s get rid of. And then this get rid of. Then we will hit apply. And then we'll put a little. I'll probably go min uniques at least 2. I mean, maybe more. Let's just see for the lottery. Let's see. 2-2-2 boy came up there. Yeah, you know what? It's still Pittsburgh, Atlanta, White Sox, Seattle, just like it was before. So that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I like that.
Actually, those are the top 50. Hold on, top 150. What's the difference? Let's see. Same thing. Okay. Yeah. So you think Pittsburgh's going to be low owned? Well, we'll find out pretty soon. I think
they're going to be low owned.
And I'm going to give you my pitching in a second. Yeah, I was going to be playing Seattle in my big buy-in, but I changed my mind. Is that my main stack in my big buy-in is actually the Braves.
Okay.
Since they've had a total of 10 runs in their last 7 games, I think. So
yeah. Without looking at the screen that I'm on right now, who do you think has the highest chance? See, this is crazy, though. Some of these picks, this home run thing, I know it's a simulation. I know I trusted in it. It just, I can't buy that MJ Melendez is the 6th most likely guy to hit home run today.
What were you going to ask me?
Who's the most likely guys to hit a home run today?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't even know if this guy hits home runs. Bobby Witt? No?
He's second.
Okay.
And for his teammate is first. It's pretty.
Who's Salvador Perez?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, but nobody with Salvador Perez at 0.33 is pretty high, but nobody else above 0.3. But they have Bobby Witt at 0.2 to steal a base. I would go higher than that on Bobby Witt, steal a base. But Ozuna and Robert are the other 3. I mean, it's almost all Royals. And then there's Patrick Wisdom, which is really hilarious because Patrick Wisdom always shows up as like an interesting home run thing, but the guy like never, like he usually gets 2 at bats. I mean, most of the time we see him, he gets 2 at bats and literally like strikes out both times, except for when he's facing my guys at the end. I'm never going to forgive him for that, Sheets. That was $250K he cost me.
And it was like a parlay too. Like you had to. He had a home run, and then something else had to happen too, right?
Yeah, then the next guy hit a home run too. So the game, but he was the one that put it over. Actually, no, he was the second one, so he was the one who put it over the top. No, it wasn't that. Yeah.
Wow. So listen, this is full disclosure. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
This is who I'm playing. 50 pitchers. Ready? Fifth in the lottery. 51% Paul Skeens. 34% Nick Pivetta. 26% Logan Gilbert. And then, of course, the next highest owned is a tie between Jake Bloss and, drumroll,
Chris Flexen.
That's
there we go. Let's go.
There it is.
We got a question here about thoughts on Gilbert and Spears. I like Gilbert a little bit, but Spears I can't get to. Even though he's actually pitched really well, but he hasn't pitched in a little while. I keep writing his name wrong too. I keep writing SPEAR. He pitched. His last game was on the 12th, right? So it's been a little bit. But he was pitching well before he got hurt. I just don't like this matchup for him.
Now we'll do FanDuel. I'll do the same thing.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I'll be going out to dinner, and there will be no late swapping. So I'm actually not playing my best today. But it is what it is. Wait, I got to put the Pittsburgh guys in because for whatever reason, I'm missing a couple of Pittsburgh guys in my projections. For some reason, Palacios didn't make my projections, nor did Brian Hayes. So take that for what it is. All right, let's build these now.
I'm looking at team ERAs right now. While you're doing that, I'll just fill it up with this.
What's up?
Cleveland. I'm looking at team ERAs. Cleveland has a team ERA of 2.4 this year. Next best is Atlanta at 2.9. Nobody else is under 3. And then you go to the other side, and Colorado's bullpen is 5.6. Toronto's bullpen is 4.98. Like, it's just wild that you can have bullpens with half of an ERA of the other guys, or almost even worse.
Yeah.
All right. So we're waiting on the Sheets' FanDuel stuff.
Yep. Just I'll just do the FanDuel thing, and then I'm out of here in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, sounds good.
And then we'll and this will be the last you'll see this view, by the way. We're moving out of here.
Oh yeah, you're not gonna. That sucks.
No, back in the office in the house.
It's not a bad spot to be. Okay, get back to your winning ways, Sheets. We haven't seen a 6-figure win in a week or two.
That's true. Okay. Let's just run the Sims here. Because when I first run everything, I'm getting all kinds of cubbies on FanDuel. But let me apply the Sims and we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell you I had a horse thing the other day.
Did you get a good one?
You did, actually.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's see. Okay. All right. So let's see. First for the monster, I'll just tell you. May as well just tell you what I'm playing. So let's make sure I have the good stack exposures. Yep, good. So I'm actually playing nothing particular. Back to Atlanta again. Crazy. Atlanta and Seattle, and then in the lotteries, it looks as though the ownership will be, it's same as before: KC, Seattle, Atlanta, Arizona. So nothing particularly off the board over there. But
that's pretty off the board. Atlanta's not popular.
You don't think?
I don't think so.
I guess not. And then let me just give you my pitching in a second. Let me just upload the file first. I imagine that it's going to be, some combination of Pivetta and Skeens, but we will tell you in a second. I imagine I'm not going to have any hashtag flexing on FanDuel. I hope not. Let's see. Pitching. I have 5 pitchers total. And the highest owned of said pitchers is Nick Pivetta at 42%, then Skeens at 40%, then Gilbert, Marsh, and a little Eovaldi. All right, guys, good luck. I will see you. I'm good for tomorrow.
All right, good man. Have a good night.
Okay, later.
All right, guys. Good luck to everybody. If there's any other questions.